Hey y'all. I want to give y'all the message that God gave me on earlier today. Allow your spiritual ears to hear this. So he took me to when he brought his people out of bondage. And remember when they was in bondage, in slavery, in the up under Pharaoh and the Egyptians. They was, just hard working, where it was just like they were just working to where it was like extreme working. And they was crying out to God to rescue them. So when God rescued them, he took them into the wilderness. And I know I have done messages about the wilderness. And other people talk about the wilderness too. But I want to tell you what God told me on today about the wilderness. In the word, he said, you will never find when he said that sent Moses to go and tell Pharaoh to set his people free. He said, you never saw it in my word that when I delivered them out of slavery and bondage, that I was taking them back into bondage. In other words, he said the wilderness was not bondage. He said the wilderness was freedom. And he said when I took my people from slavery, because like I just said, Pharaoh was just working these people to the bone, where the way the word was describing it, like it was just some excessive work. So when God set them free from Pharaoh and took them out of bondage, when he took them into that wilderness, he took them into the wilderness to rest. No more hard working. There was no more bondage, slave working like slaves. It was rest. And we always talk about how hard the wilderness was. You've been in the wilderness. You can't, when you was in that wilderness, how hard it was. But guess what God said? He said the wilderness was never made to be hard. He said the reason why the people went through so much in the wilderness because of their rebellions. Because they was used to doing things on their own. And now they cried out to God. And God said, I will rescue you. When he took them into this wilderness, now God was in control. All he was asking them to do was to follow his direction, to be obedient. But when you are rebellious, guess what happens? Nothing good going to come out of it. And that's what he was telling me on today. He said the wilderness was not slavery. It wasn't meant to be hard. And sometimes when we're used to doing things our way, and God is saying to surrender, but we want to be rebellious. And we want to keep doing it our way. And that's why the people had it so hard in the wilderness. Because they want to grumble and complain. And they chose to say, well, why we don't have this, why we don't have that. Because God said that I have took you away from that. I'm going to teach you while I'm guiding you to this promised land. I'm going to teach you how to depend on me. And that means that if you don't have a lot, God going to give you enough. And we as people, we feel like this not enough. And remember, the people was grumbling and complaining because they want what they used to have. But God said, I will give you enough if you just trust me during this time. That's all they had to do. That's all you got to do. That's all God is asking us to do. The wilderness is not made to be slave or bound. That's self. You the one, God said, you the one making it hard. When you are rebellious, when you keep wanting to do what you wants to do, you the one making it hard while you in that wilderness. All he asked the people to do was to follow him. Do it his way. Obey him. That's it. It was nothing more. He provided for them. He protected them. And when God was giving me this, I just remember when I did a message about the wilderness. And I had to ask God to forgive me. Because when you feel like you in the wilderness, you complaining and you grumbling. And he never said that I'm going to remove you from Egypt, whatever the Egypt is in your life, and take you back into Egypt. When he removed them, he did not take them back into bondage. The wilderness was not bondage. It's all about how you are walking in that wilderness. You being obedient, guess what? Smooth walk. You being rebellious and want to keep doing it your way, you're going to make trouble for your own self. I had to ask God to forgive me for any complaining, grumbling, what I was used to, whatever it might be that God delivered me from my Egypt, whatever it might be that God has delivered you from Egypt and you in that wilderness, all he asked the people to do, obey me. When he put that cloud in the sky, what he was asking them to follow him. I'm going to provide for you. I'm going to give you what you need. Don't always be trying to constantly go after things that you think you need. The riches of the world. All the glamorous thing. God said, I'm going to give you enough. And whatever God gives you, that's exactly what you need. And even though they might not been eating everything that they had when they was in Egypt, but guess what? God was giving them enough. He was blessing them, protecting them. He took them out of slavery. He brought peace to these people. They was not living in peace. You was not living in peace when you was in your Egypt. When you was bound by darkness. You was not living in peace. But when God snatched you from bondage, he said the wilderness was not bondage. It's all about what you make out of that wilderness. That's what I heard. What are you making out of it? Because God said, I didn't deliver you from bondage and take you right back into it. He did. You grumbling, you complaining. But God said, I'm giving you what I know that you need. I'm giving you enough. Be grateful. Follow his commands. Follow his direction. Go the path he's telling you to go. And guess what? Before you know it, no more wilderness. The wilderness was not bondage, y'all. The wilderness was freedom. Bye, God.